Nothing's all negative and nothing's all positive, but the key is to focus on the positive in spite of the negative.
I leave you alone, I just want my credit. I vow to tell the truth and never embellish. To my family, I'm forever indebted. To the ones that hold me down, I'm forever indebted.
Welcome to the Wealthy Mindset Podcast. I am your host, Roberto Swift. Life is hard, but God is good. On this episode, we're going to talk about expectations. See, expectations are in your control. In fact, expectations are simply thoughts about the future. They can be positive or negative, but guess what? It's all in your control. So let's get into this. When I was in school, not college, but when I was in grade school, at some point I got my wisdom teeth pulled. And it wasn't no big deal. I'm a champ. And in addition to that, I just simply like going to the dentist. In fact, I expected good things to happen. Like they give me a toothbrush, then they give me some floss, and it was cool. But when, as an adult, a couple years ago when I went to the dentist, that wasn't necessarily the case. Now, sure, I did have positive expectations when I went to the dentist, and to be honest, my experience was the same. It was really good. And I was getting a bridge. So they gave me a temporary bridge to put in until the real one that they was going to permanently put in stay into my mouth. Go home, and I'm expecting good things. I did exactly what they told me to do, but the bridge just wouldn't stay in. It just would fall out, and it was blooding, and some stuff was coming out, and I was like, something's not right, And then all of a sudden, I started getting these headaches, and then I had my ear was hurting. I was getting migraines, and I'm like, something's not right. So I go back. Come to find out, I didn't do anything wrong. What it was is that when they were doing the surgery and stuff, they perforated my sinuses. Ouch, right? So what ended up happening is that I had sinus problems ever since then. And so before this, I had no problems whatsoever with my sinuses. But now, every once in a while, my sinus will get inflamed. So expectations are key to managing our feelings towards a future outcome. And like I said in the beginning, that there is nothing that's all positive and there's nothing that's all negative. But the good news is that you can control your expectations. See, by determining what you're going to choose to focus on. So there's a natural law of polarity, meaning that there's two sides to everything in our existence in this world. And if you think about it, you never see one side of a piece of bread, and you'll never see a one-sided piece of paper. It just won't happen. Expectations are composed of our ideas of the future. See, it can be, and it's all made up. I mean, it doesn't matter if you think it's going to snow tomorrow or you think it's going to be like blizzarding cold. See, our expectations are created by our thoughts. And so when we say that we want $100 million tomorrow, well, it's a possibility it may happen. It's a possibility it may not happen. But if you're going to expect something, it's all based on your thoughts and what it is that you create. The thoughts that you create. And so when you have positive thoughts all the time, then of course you're going to expect to experience positive things. And when you expect to have negative thoughts all the time, then everything that you're going to come your way, you're going to see that it's going to be negative because that is what you're focusing on. So when you're talking about your thoughts, you're talking about beliefs. And see, when it comes down to beliefs, you're either having a positive belief, which is a joyful expectation, or you're going to have a negative belief like fear and doubt. Faith and doubt are both beliefs. Now, determining which one you have is completely up to you. Now, if you have doubt will cause you not to take any action. Doubt will make you paralyzed. But on the other hand, if you have faith in something, then faith is going to cause you to take action. And so the key here is that belief is something that you create. It's made up. See, if you believe that you're going to have $100 in 3 weeks, you may be right, you may be wrong. If you believe that somebody's going to die in your life, very important to you, in the next month or so, that's still made up. So you get to choose. By focusing your attention on what is good, then you will encourage you to take action on things that are positive. But when we get paralyzed when we don't do that. And so when we have to search inward to figure out what it is that we really desire. And then we need to line up our priorities to make sure that those things happen. See, massive action comes from continuous effort. It's like a compounding effect that happens. So when you continually focus on positive things, then it enables you to take more action that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to take. But the key thing to also remember is that when it comes to faith, faith is not something that you just make up. No. See, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So let's break this up a little bit. It's the substance, which means you have to stand on top of it. It's not something that is going to make you fall over and stuff like that. And it's the substance of things that are hoped for. Now, hope and wishing are two different things. See, hope is well grounded, but wishing, that's just like simply a thought that you create. And there's nothing supporting a wish, but there is a lot supporting hope. See, hope is when you have seen something and there's some evidence that's there that say, okay, like if I turn on this light switch, I hope that the light's going to come on. Well, why would you do that? Well, you know you paid your light bill. And if you did pay your light bill, then your wish is that it doesn't get shut off. If you pay close attention to the scriptures even say that the things that are visible were made by things that are invisible. So it comes to everything. Everything that you see in this physical world that a man has made, every single thing is first an idea. And somebody had to take that idea, have enough faith to exercise their wills to figure out how to make it come into this dimension as far as physically. See, our mind is so powerful because everything starts out as an idea. And everything starts out as an vision and an image in our mind. And we had to, and for anything to really come into existence in this 3D physical world, it was first in a thought in somebody's head. And they had to do what was necessary to bring that idea out. No one's seen a freaking car before, but they had an idea and they worked together. And as they worked, the car began to emerge. No, anyone can't speak anything into existence. Only Jesus can do that. But we can use our ideas to create with the resources that God has given us. One mistake that a lot of people making is thinking that this 3D world is the real world. This is not the real world. And no, I'm not talking about the Matrix. It says that the things that are visible were made by things that were invisible. I mean, you can take this all the way down to freaking electricity and how, like, I am not in your TV screen, I'm not in your cell phone, but I am a manifestation right now of you're seeing me. But it's not me live. And it's not me in person. And so what I'm simply saying is this, that the spiritual world is more real than the physical world. But when you take that into consideration, the things that you dwell on ought to be spiritual things that are good, rather than thinking about things that you know are not real, like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. See, the quality of our lives will get better when we choose to do good things. When we choose to do bad things and negative things, negative things happen. See, everything in this world is dying, but it requires effort to make sure that things don't die. It requires effort to make sure that you continuously grow in a positive direction. So everything requires work. And to say that, well, things are naturally getting better is simply not the case. The world is not designed that way. It never was designed that way. In fact, Adam had to till the garden. He had work to do. And so do we. And so when we consciously make the decision to do good things happen. But when we do bad things, we shouldn't be surprised when bad things happen. We shouldn't be surprised when death is knocking at the door when we don't take care of our bodies. See, if you don't treat your body well, it's not going to treat you well. It's simply just not going to happen. And it goes the same for our mind. Not just what we put into our mind, but how we process information. See, if we have a joyful expectation about a lot of different things, then we are going to take action. But when we freeze and have fear about something, we're not going to take action on anything. And then when we don't take action, things die. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to die anytime soon. See, I got a lot to do. The reality is this. We've been given an opportunity when we are put into this world. And that is to use the resources that we have been given to make something better. Because we were made to create. But when we don't do that, good things can't happen. And when good things don't happen, we all of a sudden want to blame outside influence for stuff that's not going good with us. But that's because we're not doing the work that was set before us. So sure, you can say that it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault, why I didn't get to do this and I didn't get to do that. But the reality is, when you take what you have and create something beautiful, not only will other people see that and recognize it for what it is, but it will make you feel better. It will give you the encouragement you need. See, every once in a while, we just need simply a little inspiration. And inspiration comes from the smallest unlikely places. But when you have a negative attitude, nothing good is going to come from that. In fact, your environment, if you move the negative people out of your environment and focus on doing what you need to get done, they won't even recognize you. They won't recognize you because you are in a different mindset, in a different place, in a different space. And then you will notice that sometimes they just want to drag you down. But like I said, nothing's all positive, nothing's all negative. When you make moves and you all of a sudden the quality of your life is getting better, they're going to be like, oh, something wrong with them. But you're just doing what you got to do to make your life better. And so sometimes certain people, you just have to minimize the amount of time that you spend. Because they will drag you down. And all of a sudden you're carrying extra weight that you don't need to carry. And I don't want to carry extra weight. Because it also ends up in being a distraction. And distractions will prevent you from getting to where you need to go. In fact, they get you turned around real quick. Because you got to keep your eyes on where it is that you need to go. And so when you have a vision, you can expect positive things to happen. Because if God is for you, then who can be against you? If he gives you a vision, that is not an idea. It's a command. But when you meditate on his law and the things that he's commanded of you, guess what? Whatever you do will prosper. But when you get distracted, you begin to stumble in the weeds. Because you can't see the forest from the trees. See, God is good. And we may not understand everything that happens in that moment in time, but now in that moment in time is when you need faith the most. You see, when everything is in chaos, that is when you need to stand on the faith that has been given to you. I mean, think about Noah, for instance. Noah built a boat in the middle of the desert when rain had not rained on earth. In fact, the rain came up from the ground at that point to water the earth. It didn't rain from the sky, but he was obedient. Take Abraham, for instance. This dude left his homeland to go to a land he have never seen before. That requires faith in that moment. But when you can be assured that the faith that you have is in something that is bigger than you, and that it's something that can be trusted, then you know that you can have a joyful expectation that it's going to go good. You may not know all the things figured out in your head, but you know things will get better. It's just a belief that you created. But it's not a wish, because it is backed by something. Because the information is only as good as the source. And trust me, I believe God. 66 books. And this is not something that's some stories people made up. These are real people's lives. For every New Testament principle, there is an Old Testament illustration of that principle. And there's a reason for that. Because the stuff is true and it works. So on our next episode, we're going to dig deep. I won't even mention to you what it's about. But it's going to be good. This is the Wealthy Mindset Podcast. I'm Roberto Swift. And guess what? I'm out.